Hi, Stuart. I have a question.
Yes.
It's to do with a feeling of guilt in relation to feeling happiness, joy, love, if that makes sense.
No, I have no feelings of guilt about being a happy person. I have just feelings of gratitude. I mean, look, many years ago, I had to come to terms with that. And I said to myself, what am I guilty of? What have I done? I've made mistakes, I've done things, but all of that can be rectified. And it's rectified by learning from them what you have to do to grow in life. I don't think anyone, I mean, I know churches preach this thing about guilt and we're born into original sin and all this stuff. And I think it's I don't know. I mean, I can't judge what they do in those places. But for me, I don't see what anybody has to be guilty about. And every human being can simply turn it around. They can learn from it, they can grow from it, they can become saints because I mean, the best example was, the Tibetan poet saint, Milarepa was one of the great Mahasiddhas, and when he was younger, he was a black magician. I mean, all kinds of crimes he committed. And one day he said, no, I got to stop this. So he went to Marpa, who was perhaps the greatest teacher in Tibet or India, wherever he was in the Himal of the age. And he said, I want to study with you. And Marpa said, okay, I want you to build me a house. My wife and I need a house to live in. I've told this story a lot. And he wound up building 13 houses for Marpa. And by the time he was finished, I mean, what could have been left of his ego? Nothing. Total surrender, and he became one of the great Mahasiddhas, one of the great teachers of Buddhism and, in Tibet. They always have statues or paintings of him with his hand to his ear, listening to the sound of the cosmos. And I, I don't abide with that. I think that people that rack themselves with guilt just don't want to grow. They don't want to be happy people. So they're beating themselves up with guilt. And many of them have no idea what they're even guilty of. They're taught by religion, because you're born, you're guilty. Of what? Of what? And to be guilty because you're happy, because you have joy in your heart. I mean, all you should have is gratitude that you live that way, with love, with joy, with compassion, with the highest elements of what it means to be human on the earth. What is there to be guilty of about being happy? Guilty because one is happy and most people are not happy? No, be grateful that one can live that way. And then maybe through one's own inner growth, other people will begin to look and say, well, what are you doing in your life? How have you learned this? How can I learn this? So I'm not a big fan of guilt. I'm really not. It's just a way of people beating themselves up and keeping themselves from ever having a spiritual life. I mean, we really have to be grateful. And as I've said many times, to recognize that we live in a world that's being created all the time around us. And we have to recognize the sacred nature of life and to be grateful that we can live in that sacred thing called life without beating ourselves up, without being victims, without being guilty, without all that stuff. You know, all that neurosis and anxiety that just runs rampant through people. If somebody says, well, you were born, you're guilty. You say, no, I'm not guilty. What am I guilty of? I really, my heart's open. I feel love inside me. What's to be guilty about? I don't want to beat myself up. I don't want to take myself apart, you know, and create just enormous chaos inside myself. I want to be a happy person. I want to be full of love. I want to be full of joy. And, you know, look, most of the people on this planet are not happy people. They're not happy. But if one attains a state of ananda inside, you're going to be guilty because you're happy, because other people are not happy. They can learn how to do it if they want to learn how to do it. Or they can spend their life being guilty, beating themselves up, being a slave to neurosis and anxiety, instead of a child of God, being happy, open, with gratitude, with kindness, with love. Now, in order to attain this, it takes a lot of work. We have to transform ourselves. That takes time. I mean, you know, look, dear, you're Irish. And I remember reading a book by James Joyce called Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man. And there's that whole section in there about that priest or father who is, you know, just going crazy for pages about why everybody has to be guilty. I'll never forget. I was like 18 years old when I read that thing, and I said, holy crap. But it was a great way of Joyce, you know, dealing with that, you know, of what he had to go through as a young man in order to become a writer, the writer of the stature that he was. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Now, one thing, people have to lighten themselves. I know maybe it gets dark there while the class is going on, so suddenly I can't barely see, Flora, and also you, Leisha. I can barely see you. So when you sit, make sure there's some light, you know, light bulbs on you, to lighten up your face so I can see you. Ah, hi, Flora. Welcome.
Hi, I want to ask something. Today I was almost very sick, and my question is: can we have headache or migraine because we have something inside us that is coming up and coming out?
Absolutely. You know, absolutely. A lot of times, you know, in this meditation, a lot of times you'll have headaches because energy is going into the third eye, into this area of the forehead, and it's literally separating the thickness there, and it can give you headaches. You know, it transforms and opens that chakra.
Okay.
But those headaches will go away. Other kinds of headaches, tension from, and my remedy for headaches is very simple. Just open your heart. I mean it. If you open your heart, if you feel that lightness of being inside yourself, that joy, headaches are going to go away. I remember, I think I've told this story, but it's a great story. I was in California, in Los Angeles, staying at the house of a woman who used to do a television program. I don't know if she still does it, interviewing sages and gurus and people of that nature. And I was staying at her house, She was a friend of a student of mine, actually. And she came back and she looked like, she was ready to kill herself. I mean, she looked like she was so tense and so beaten up inside, you know, and she had to go to some kind of barbecue in the afternoon where all these celebrities were going to be there and blah, blah, blah. And I said to her, sit down. I sat down and I worked with her for about 15 minutes. And I took all of the tension out of her heart, and her heart, like a great flower, opened. And suddenly she literally looked like she was 10 to 15 years younger after the meditation.
Mm.
And she said to me, what did you do? I said, I just opened your heart.
Mm.
I took that ball of tension that was surrounding your heart and I pulled it out of you. And, and that to me is one of the keys to getting rid of headaches. Open your heart. Feel that lightness of being. Let the tension that's formulating here flow down. And what is formulating here will go into the third chakra and it'll help you build chi. So as my teacher always said, what's killing you can give you life if you learn how to work with it. Was mostly, headaches are a product of the heart being closed.
I didn't understand that.
Excuse me?
Can you repeat the last one?
Headaches are a product, in most cases, of the heart being closed.
Yes.
And all of that tension just goes right back up into the head and it creates pain, tension, headache.
I can feel my heart and goes this way.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
My suggestion is if you have a headache, just find what you're grateful for in life, what you love in life, family, friends, people, children, whatever, and let that love go into and the headache will go away. It's kind of like, when the sink gets clogged up, the pipes get clogged up, everything comes out the kitchen sink. The head is like the kitchen sink for all that tension that comes up here. And it makes people, gives them lots of problems.
What do you think about Alzheimer?
About what?
Alzheimer sickness.
Alzheimer. I don't know. I can't. I'm not a doctor and I can't start giving cures for these things. But I think, I don't know. I don't know what I think about Alzheimer's. I had a very good friend of mine who used to be also a very good client of mine, a Korean man who was a master at Tai Chi. And one day I walked into his loft and the guy had Alzheimer's. And he wound up dying from Alzheimer's. And he was a guy who's chi and power and all, but the problem with him was the heart wasn't open. So that didn't flow down. But I don't know. I can't just prescribe cures for all kinds of illnesses. I can say when Shakti and energy flows through your system, it will heal you of a great deal of problems.
Because I had like an answer. If you don't want to change things you have in your past, you don't go back and think about them. You close yourself and Alzheimer is come. I don't know if it's true.
It's probably one cause of it. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to discourse on how to cure Alzheimer's. I do know that if your chakra system is working, your inner life gets younger and younger and younger. Without having the chakra system that I have developed over the years, I could never be doing what I'm doing today. There's no way. I'd be sitting in a rocking chair somewhere in Palm Beach, having a Coco Loco and just gloating over the fact that I'm going to play 9 holes of golf the next day. I could never be doing this.
Mm.
And the only reason I can do what I do is years of developing a chakra system that's very strong. And it makes my energy very young. Now, if that's a cure for Alzheimer's, you know, it could be. I don't know. I'm not going to give cures for that. I can only talk about my own life and what I've managed to do in my own life. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Thank you.
You're welcome, Flora. It's nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a while.
I met somebody and life is gonna a bit stressful. I have to just learn to change my life, go back.
Well, maybe that's why you're here. We can teach you how to do that.
Yes, thank you for that. I will try to come back.
Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay. I mentioned it before, I'll mention it again. I've been doing a blog, which you can go to on my website, stuartperrin.com. Every week, Bob Sink, who's a student of mine here in the States, he posts a blog that I write. And, you know, they're very interesting. I think they can help you, you know, get a clearer view of what this meditation is all about and what you can do with it if you develop the kind of chakra system that I talk about all the time. So he puts these things up every Saturday. Now I go to a Sunday, but it's Saturday that he does it. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, thank you. Bless you all. My teachers, all of you. God bless you all. And thank you.
God bless you too.
And I will see you on Tuesday. There'll be what is it? I'll see you on Sunday. Your class on Sunday.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.